Good morning.
There you go. For Charm TV, we're about to begin. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Board of Liquor License Commissioners for Baltimore City's Thursday, February 9th, 2023 hearings. There are one bit of regular items and violation items. Otherwise, Mr. Chairman, do you have any preliminary comments?
No, let's get started.
Okay, beginning first with the regular items on the docket. FODA FD Baltimore LLC, trading as Spring Hill Suites, 400 West Fayette Street. This is an application for a new Class B beer, wine, and liquor hotel motel license under the provisions of the Alcoholic Beverages Article 12-903C12 I, which allows the board to issue a license for use by a hotel or motel that has, 1, a dining room with facilities for preparing and serving regular meals for at least 125 individuals at one seating, 2, at least 100 rooms for the accommodation of the public, and 3, a capital investment of $500,000. The board has already heard this matter and is set today to rehear the matter concerning an issue identified during the issuance process.
Okay, good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Leanne Schreckengoss with Royston, Mullen, McLean, and Reed here on behalf of the applicant.
Ms. Schreckengoss, can you walk up to the mic?
Better?
Yes.
Okay.
Good morning. Do you want to explain what happened?
Certainly. So we are here, as Mr. Blendy indicated, because the license has already been approved by this board. There's an address issue. This hotel is located at the corner of Fayette and Utah Street. The legal address is 400 Fayette Street, and the physical premises address has become 100 Utah Street. The front door is right there at the corner facing Utah Street. So it's become an issue with Ubers and permitting. We can show you there's a one-way, Fayette's a one-way street, so with Uber drivers bringing hotel guests to and from, they have to go like a 6-block around, and we just want for the board's file for everything to be clear that both of these addresses are tied to the same property for complete transparency's sake. That's why we're here today.
Okay. Everything else remains the same as what we approved previously?
Correct, and I can provide you a map if you want right here just to show you that's the hotel right there and show you that Fayette Street is the one-way street in that direction. Where the building comes to a point, that's the main entrance right there on North Utah Street.
Okay. Commissioners want to see it?
Anything else?
No, that covers it.
You want to look at it?
I'm good.
Okay. All right. And so on the basis then of what's been contained in the application in our previous hearing and our findings at that hearing and your proffer this morning, I'd find that this new application raises merely a technical issue and is not a material change in the application for purposes of issuing the license. So I would approve the new application for a Class B beer, wine, and liquor hotel motel license at both 400 West Fayette Street and 100 North Utah Street. Thank you. Commissioners?
Okay.
Based
on-
Yeah, go ahead.
Based on the document that's submitted reflecting the location of the said addresses, 100, I think, North Utah and 400 West Fayette Street, there's no change that would affect the property at all, the application that was approved prior to now. Therefore, I approve the application for a Class B beer, wine, and liquor hotel motel license.
Yeah, based on the testimony materials provided today, being that it's technical in nature, I also vote to approve the application for a new Class B beer, wine, and liquor hotel motel license.
At both addresses. Commissioner, at both addresses.
Both addresses.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Ms. Russell?
Yes, like President, for the record, Board Exhibit Number 1, map. Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
That concludes this matter. Council may submit the follow-up documents to the office to obtain this license issued in conjunction with what you've already been told at your previous approval. Shall we move forward, Mr. Chairman?
Please.
Moving to the violations portion of the docket. Item number 1, El Dragon Sport Bar and Restaurant, 200 South Haven Street. Its licensee holds a Class B beer, wine, and liquor license and is charged with one violation of the board's rules, to wit, a violation of Rule 4.01A, sales to minors, furnishing, for one incident on December 22nd, 2022.
Morning.
Yes, good morning, Your Honor. Stephen W. Fogelman on behalf of the licensees.
Good morning. Admission or denial?
This is an admission.
Okay. Do you want to tell us what happened?
Yes, certainly. Your Honor, this establishment was previously managed by Jessica Muriel. She was fired because she was the server to the cadets in question on December 22nd of last year. I have different thoughts sometimes on firing an employee who violates this rule, in the sense that there can be some serious education that takes place if you go through such an event. You don't easily forget it, we would hope. In this case, they really want to make a point to the other employees that even the manager, even the GM, is not immune from discipline for noncompliance with the rules. Since that time, they've placed signs behind the bar, behind the counter, to remind staff of a 100% ID check policy. They have 5 employees serving alcoholic beverages, and they're going to make sure that they're all properly trained. So I would thank you for your consideration, and as always, I believe they were polite and cooperative.
Who had this? Do you, Agent Perez, you want to raise your right hand just to be sworn in for a second?
Do you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you're about to give, the statements made, and responses given will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Is there anything you want to add and tell us whether they were cooperative with you?
They were very cooperative on this occasion, never had a cooperation issue with the operator of the establishment.
Okay. Commissioners have any questions?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Could I just have you state your name on the record?
Yeah. Agent Andy Perez.
Thank you.
Are the employees counsel alcohol awareness?
Yes, the licensees are, and he's making sure that all staff who hold alcohol are.
Anything further? Did you have anything else?
No.
Okay. Anything further, Mr. Fogelman?
No, thank you so much.
On the basis of materials contained in the charging documents, the proffer from counsel and testimony received, I find a violation of Rule 4.01, small a, sale to minor on December 22, 2022. They had only had this license since October when this occurred. They're relatively new licensees, so they have no history of violations, and it sounds like they've taken corrective action here. They were cooperative. Don't do it again. I'm going to impose a $250 fine and give you 30 days to pay. Commissioners?
Based on testimony provided today, I also agree with the sheriff's findings, a violation of Rule 4.01A, sales to minor, on December 22nd, 2022, and a fine of $250.
Based on the charging document and the proffer by the attorney, I also find a violation of Rule 4.01 little a, sales to the minor. And also, I agree with the fine of $250.
Ms. Russell?
Article exhibits for the record, Board Exhibit 1, investigation report, Inspector Perez.
Thank you, folks. Good luck.
Thank you.
That concludes this matter before the board. Licensees received instructions of the fine imposed today and how to pay, and any attendant fees that go along with it. Shall we move forward, Mr. Chair?
Please.
Item number 2 on today's violations docket, Fleet Street Spirits, 5601, Y56 BWA Operator LLC, trading as Fleet Street Spirits, 5601 Eastern Avenue, known as 5701A Fleet Street. Licensee holds a Class A7 beer, wine, and liquor license and is charged with 1 violation of the board's rules, to wit, a violation of Rule 4.01 little a, sales to minors, stemming from an incident on December 22nd, 2022.
Morning.
Good morning. Caroline Hecker, Rosenberg, Martin Greenberg on behalf of the licensee. I'm joined by our individual licensee, Mr. Bramble. I also have with us our manager, Victor Salpour, and Campbell Burns, who is a vice president of the management company.
Morning, everybody. Is this admission or denial?
It's an admission.
Okay, you want to tell us what happened on that day?
Yes, it was an unfortunate incident where the employee in question, they were getting ready to close. The incident occurred about 20 minutes before they closed in the evening. She believed that one of the 2 cadets was over 21 and did not ask for identification. The policy has been to card anyone who looks like they're under 21. The store has since implemented a more robust policy, and I'd like to pass copies of this out to the board. They now require a swipe of an ID, a scan of an ID, to go through the point of sale system to confirm that the purchaser is over 21 years of age. And all of their employees are required to review this, sign it, and abide by it.
Okay.
This is the first incident that they've had. They've been very cooperative. They've been open for a couple of years. They do not expect this to be repeated again.
And is this yours? Step up, please, and raise your right hand.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you're about to give, the statements made and responses given will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And could you just state your name for the record?
Inspector Jordan.
Thank you.
Inspector, do you want to add anything? Tell us whether they cooperated with you?
They were very cooperative. The young lady was cooperative.
No problems?
No problems at all.
Okay. Commissioners have questions?
No questions.
All right, thank you. On the basis of the materials contained in the charging documents, the exhibit which will be received, the proffer from counsel and testimony, I find a violation of Rule 4.01, small a, sale to minor on December 22, 2022. In light of the fact that this is a first offense, I would impose a $250 fine and give them 30 days to pay. Commissioners?
Yeah. Mr. Chair, based on testimony provided today, I also agree with the chair's findings. A violation of Rule 4.01A, sales to minors on December 22nd, 2022, with a fine of $250.
Based on the charging document and testimony given by the attorney, I also, and material submitted, I also find a violation of Rule 4.01, letter A, sales to minor, and inflict a fine of $250, 30 days to pay.
Ms. Russell?
I call exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, inspection report, Inspector Jordan. 2, all employee memorandum.
Thank you, folks. Good luck.
That concludes this matter before the board. Council's received instructions on the fines imposed by the board today and how to pay them and any attendant fees, which must occur within 30 days per the board's order. Shall we move forward, Mr. Chair?
Yes, please.
Item number 3 on the violations docket, Mesfa Incorporated, trading as New Food Way. Premises are located at 1501 Broning Highway, holder of a Class A beer and wine license, charged with one violation of the rules, that is Rule 4.01A, sales to minors, stemming from one incident on December 22nd, 2022.
Good morning.
Frank Schullis representing the licensee.
Good morning, Mr. Schullis. Is this going to be admission or denial? Are you admitting or denying it?
Well, we're admitting,
Okay. Do you want to tell us what happened then?
yes. On this day, the cadets came in. My client was on the telephone with his wife with the family emergency, and he asked their birth date. They gave him a birth date, and he either miscalculated or something. But he knows he's supposed to ask for the identification, so that's why he's admitting. He promptly went out and had himself and all of his people recertified. I have all the certificates here. And this was never a violation before.
That's correct. The first offense. Inspector, can you step up, please, and raise your right hand?
Do you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you're about to give, the statements made and responses given will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And could you state your name for the record, please?
Inspector Tudhope.
Thank you. Could you spell the last name?
It's Tudhope.
Thank you.
Inspector, what would you like to tell us?
They were very cooperative. We had no problems.
Okay. Commissioners have questions?
No questions.
All right, thank you. Mr. Schultz, on the basis of the materials contained in the charging documents, your proffer, including the admission, on behalf of your client and the testimony received, I find a violation of Rule 4.01, small a, sale to minor on December 22, 2022. And again, because it's a first offense, I'd impose a $250 fine and give them 30 days to pay. Commissioners?
Yeah, based on the testimony we provided today, I also agree with the chair's findings. A violation of Rule 4.01A, sales to minors on December 22nd, 2022, along with a fine of $250.
Based on the charging document and proffer given by the attorney, as well as the admission, I find for a violation of Rule 4.01, letter A, sales to minors, and a fine of $250 with 30 days to pay.
Ms. Russell?
I call exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit number 1, investigation report, Inspector Tudhope.
Thank you. Good luck.
Could I get the spelling of your last name?
Mr. Schultz,
SHAULIS.
Thank you.
That concludes this matter before the board. Council's received instructions on how to pay the fine imposed by the board today and any attendant fees that must be paid along with the fine. Shall I move forward, Mr. Chairman?
yes, sir.
Item number 4, the Avenue K&B LLC, trading as the Avenue Kitchen and Bar. Premises are located at 911 West 36th Street. Holders of a Class B beer, wine, and liquor license and are charged with one violation of the board's rule. That is a violation of Rule 4.17, storage, stemming from an incident dated November 25th, 2022.
Good morning. Stephen W. Fogelman on behalf of the applicant, or on the licensee, requesting a postponement this morning. I was contacted by the owner licensee yesterday afternoon from out of country, returning Saturday. Apparently, he'd already booked this time, and the notice came in after he had left. So I am just asking this case be moved to a new docket 2 to 4 weeks down the road. This is not a violation case. There's no cadets that have to be called in or anybody outside the agency. It's not the most serious violation you'll see, but obviously we want to make sure that everybody can be here. So thank you.
Let me just check. So, you want to step up for 1 second and be sworn? Go ahead.
Good morning.
You want to raise your right hand?
Yes.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you're about to give, the statements made, and responses given, be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Could you state your name on the record?
Daryl Clark, Agent Daryl Clark.
Agent, do you have any reason why we can't continue the case?
No, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Case will be continued to the next violation docket then. Thank you.
Thank you.
This case has been ordered continued to the next violations docket hearing of the board. Shall we move forward, Mr. Chair?
Yes, please.
The next matter on the violations docket, item number 5, Gurpreet Kaur as a sole proprietorship trading as Tavern Bar, 2148 Wilkins Avenue, holders of a Class D beer, wine, and liquor license, charged with 2 violations of one of the statute, that being Alcoholic Beverages Article 12-2005D, stemming from an incident on December 16th, 2022, and a violation of Board Rule 4.05, prohibited hours, same incident on December the 16th, 2022.
For the record, Melvin J. Kaninsky, representing the licensee.
Morning, Mr. Kadensky. Admissions or denials?
I'll make admission as to the facts as stated. I do have an argument, though, regarding the way the law is written, but I'm not going to contest what they wrote down.
So,
other than the fact one gentleman was complaining he was served 5 minutes ago, which we contest, but that's not either here or there.
So you're saying that the facts that the inspectors have written in their reports are accurate?
Except for the one gentleman that said he was just served 5 minutes before they got there. I'm okay with that.
All right. So let me hear what your explanation is.
You know, it's interesting, maybe not for a lot of people, but for those that are home watching, that the way the law was changed, that the actual license gives 6 a.m. to 1 a.m. However, they passed a statute indicating, and I was reading it, sometimes when you read things you learn, it says that the hours for sale of alcohol may not begin before 10 or end after 10. It doesn't say people can't be in there after 10 p.m. If you read what they're saying, the people they were finishing up and leaving. So the question is it a violation or a technical violation regarding this way the statute is written, or should it say sale and consumption? That's my. Then the fact that it happened, this question is whether it meets the. If it doesn't meet the violation of the statute, then it doesn't meet prohibited hours, which should be both the same.
So tell me what the statute says again about operating hours.
It says, it doesn't say operating, see? It says for the licensee holders in the 40th district, and it gives you all those areas. It says the hours for sale of alcohol beverages may not begin before 10 a.m. or end after 10 p.m. I see Mr. Blendy's looking it up. He's going to give me the.
Well, I can also refer the board and council to Alcoholic Beverages Article 6-207, display of alcoholic beverages as prima facie evidence of sale, which reads, in a prosecution for selling alcoholic beverages without an appropriate license, proof that the defendant displayed or offered alcoholic beverages for sale or kept a place of business where alcoholic beverages were displayed or offered for sale is prima facie evidence that the defendant sold alcoholic beverages. And that is incorporated in a different part of Title 12, which if council and the board will give me, I'll eventually get that.
Yeah, but you don't have that in the facts. I can understand what they're saying. It's maybe prima facie, but the facts as indicated don't indicate that. That's my argument. I'm not going to beat this
I
thing
would
to death.
agree with you that the statute as written is not clear. This probably covers it. I would think the intent of the legislature was that they be closed by 10 p.m., but I'm not sure that the statute said exactly that.
That's why I'm bringing it up. I mean, probably when they went ahead and did this, I'll just leave it go at that.
Okay. Inspector Tuthope, did you want to testify? I think you're already under oath, so
They were very cooperative.
they were.
Yes.
Okay, and they had one prior problem back in 2019, and they've had this license since 2017, is that correct?
And this is a new person who was approved, but due to not getting all the permits, we have to reapply. He was actually there, Mr. Proctor, and he has indicated, I mean, with this 10 p.m., they're having just a horrendous time to try to make a go of it. And I've explained to him that the better course of action would be 10 o'clock, get everybody out there, and you don't have to be back here again.
Yes, I think that seems to be the prudent way to proceed. Commissioners have any questions?
No, Mr. Chair, I just want to read the report where it said that at approximately 10:15, the inspectors observed approximately 10 to 15 people sitting and standing inside the establishment drinking. And I know maybe hearsay, just for the record, that one patron stated he wanted his money back because he was there 5 minutes ago, paid for the drink, and did not appreciate that he was not able to finish his beer. That it was.
Is that one of the facts you were admitted?
No, and I said, except for that, 'cause he was there and he said that the guy was just trying to hold him up to get his money back.
I understand.
He
I'm
wanted to sell.
not paying a great deal of attention to that statement, but I understand. Do you have anything further?
No, sir.
Okay. All right, thank you. On the basis of the materials contained in the charging documents, the facts that were admitted by counsel by way of proffer and the testimony received, I do find a violation of Rule Alcoholic Beverages Article 12-2005, small d, on December 16, 2022, as well as a violation of Rule 4.05, prohibited hours, on December 16, 2022. In light of the, I'd impose $250 fines as to each violation and give them 30 days to pay. Commissioners?
Yes, Mr. Chair, based on the testimony provided today, I also agree with the chair's findings. A violation of Alcohol Beverage Article 12-2005D on December 16, 2022, and a fine of $250. Also, the violation of Rule 4.05, prohibited hours, on December 16, 2022, and also the fine of $250.
Based on the charging document and the proffer by the attorney, I also find a violation of Alcoholic Beverages Article 12-2005, little d, on December the 16th, 2022. In addition, I also find for a violation of Rule 4.05, prohibit hours, on December the 16th, 2022. For the first violation, I find $250 with 30 days to pay. For the second violation, I find $250 with 30 days to pay.
Ms. Russell?
That closes it for the record. Board Exhibit 1, investigation report, Inspector Tudhope.
Thank you, Mr. Kudensky. Good luck, sir.
That concludes this matter before the board. Council's received instructions on how to pay the fines imposed by the board today and any attendant fees that must be paid along with the fine. Shall we move forward, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Item number 6 on today's violations document has been postponed and will be held at a future hearing date of the board. Which brings us to item number 7 before the board on the violations docket. Remix Bar and Grill LLC, trading as Remix Bar and Grill. Premises are located at 819 East Pratt Street. Licensee holds a Class B beer, wine, and liquor license and has been charged with 3 violations of the board's rules, all stemming from the same incident on December the 16th, 2022. That is a violation of Rule 3.02, cooperation with respect to Inspector Jordan, a violation of Rule 3.03A, records and availability for inspections, and a violation of Rule 3.02, cooperation with respect to an incident involving Chief Inspector Chris Miles.
Good morning.
How's the board? My name is Michael Worthy. I'm the Director of Operations and Business Affairs for Remix. I'm here with the licensee, Tion Everest.
Gentlemen, you want to raise your right hands, and inspectors, if you're not already sworn.
Anyone who's going to testify, do you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you're about to give, the statements made, and responses given will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Is this going to be,
Mr. Worthy, is that W-O-R-T-H-Y?
That is correct.
Thank you.
will this be an admission or denial?
A denial with explanation.
Okay, well, let's start with Inspector Jordan then.
On December 18th, we received a 311 complaint for noise, and I arrived at the establishment at 10:15. I responded, and I spoke to the bartender, and I told her what the complaint was for, and she turned the music. She went ahead and said she would turn the music down. When I went outside, I noticed the music hadn't been turned down on my way out, and I figured she made a mistake because she used the tablet to turn the music down. So I went back inside to let her know. And then at that point, that's when I was speaking to the bartender, a male approached me and stated he was the owner. I explained to him the reason for my visit, and he immediately became very confrontational. He stated that I should have dealt with him directly instead of speaking to his staff. I informed him I was not aware that he was there and that his staff did not direct me to speak to him. He stated he needed my identification, so I reached to get it, and I discovered that I had left it in my car. I immediately went to retrieve it, and I came back, and it should be noted that I was wearing clothes similar to these clothes, and I was wearing a vest and my jacket. As I returned, presented my badge to him, my liquor license badge, and provided the owner, who I later learned to be Mr. Tion Everidge, I believe, with my business card. As I placed an inspection sheet down to document my 311 response, he slid it towards him and asked me what it was. I told him that I needed to record my visit, and that's what the form was for. Give me 1 second. Okay, I requested his business records in order to complete my documentation, and he refused to provide them to me. Mr. Tion went on to say that he can play music outside until 11 p.m. per his MOU, and that I had no right to tell him to turn it down. I made several attempts to defuse the tense situation by explaining why I was there and offering a solution. Finally, I felt it was time for me to leave the establishment for my safety when Mr. Tion began pointing his finger at me while disregarding my personal space. I left the establishment and contacted my chief, and my chief responded shortly after.
All right, let's take this one at a time. Mr. Worthy, do you have questions for the inspector?
Yes, I do. You said that you felt that he was violating your personal space. You were sitting across the table from him?
No, we were probably about this, maybe this close.
Okay, all right. And you did provide him your ID, and you did not have it on you originally, is that correct?
Right. Initially, I didn't.
And had you ever met Mr. Everidge before?
I didn't.
Okay, so he didn't know you personally, is that correct?
No.
Chief, do you want to testify?
Chief Christian Malice, Baltimore City Liquor Board. As Inspector Jordan stated, she contacted me when she went to her car, said that she felt that her safety was in danger. I went to the location. As soon as I walked in, I was approached by the gentleman to my right. He was very aggravated, and my professional opinion was under the influence of something. I'm not an expert on what. He became very angry. He approached me very closely. I told him I will give him one warning to back away from me, which he did. He started yelling, telling me that I have no right to be there. One of his employees wanted to talk to me, a female. At that time, he grabbed the female by the arm and pushed her away. Another manager came up to us and said, "Can you please speak to me? He is in no condition to be speaking to you right now." That manager, he placed his hand on his chest and pushed him away. I asked him if he's going to continue assaulting his Employees, I'm gonna have to call the authorities. He said, he asked the gentleman, have you been offended? Tell him you weren't offended. And then at that time, I realized that because of the condition that this gentleman was in, it was no longer needed for us to be there. I instructed both inspectors to write the violations. We exited the location. We went outside and regrouped. We talked about the situation, at which time the gentleman to my right and another employee came out recording, talking about, look, those speakers are off. This situation, Inspector Jordan, in the 4 years I believe that she's been here, and she is on a permanent night shift, has never contacted me and told me that she feels that she is in danger. I would just say to the board that the situations that we put our inspectors in every night on the streets of Baltimore and their safety, if we have to start worrying about our licensees and or our operators harming our inspectors, then we're in big trouble.
Okay, do you have questions for the chief?
That night I did. I don't remember, sir, if I've met him in the past. Not that I'm aware of, sir.
And you never documented that you thought employee was being assaulted? I mean, was that this is the first time we're hearing that?
That's correct.
Okay, but you didn't put that in writing?
No, I didn't put anything that in writing, no, sir.
And you never came back with police or police was called?
No, they weren't. We left the location. Both employees said they were fine, so we left the location.
Okay, and as it relates to the violation,
Mhm.
you indicated that the music
When we went outside and we were talking about the situation and we were talking about what was going to be rent, your client, I don't know if are you his attorney? Okay, well, your coworker came out with another employee. They were recording, saying on camera, look, the music is off. Which
so that violation was resolved, correct?
the music violation, when I came out, correct, it was abated when I came out.
And you're testifying today that you left, you never came back in for any documentation, you made a decision to leave because you thought it was employee at an
Right, my inspector had asked your coworker for his documentation so that she can conduct a compliance check. He refused to give it to her. They did record a license that was hanging on the wall, and then I said, let's just go. I wanted to defuse the situation and didn't want any more issues.
Were there any other documents you needed other than the license?
Once your coworker got to the point he was, I wasn't concerned about records at that point.
I understand. My question is, what records were you looking for?
We can look for I don't know if you're the licensee. I mean, we can look for a plethora of records, employee records, trader's license, fire permits, health permits, invoices from distributors. There's a number of items that the inspector can ask for.
So on that night, what records did you use other than?
Inspector Jordan was the one that requested licenses. I wasn't there for that, sir.
Your instructor had to leave, right?
Correct. I did instruct her to leave.
Are you familiar with, there's several licensees on this license, and one of them was unfortunately murdered. You're aware of that?
After the fact, I was not aware.
At the time, you were not.
No, sir.
So you did not know why he was upset, or was having problems, or had some kind of issues on that day?
Unfortunately, sir, when we're in the field at midnight, we don't have access to people's personal feelings and why they are upset.
So the only thing that you thought maybe he had used something, he was under influence, but.
That's correct. He was definitely under the influence. I don't know of what.
How do you know? You didn't. He was definitely under influence.
Well, I'm a professional in this matter, and from his eyes, the way they were dilated, the way he was slurring, the way he was talking, and the unstable.
Have you ever seen somebody who had medicine that may have some of the similar?
That's why I said he was under something. I don't know if it was alcohol, drugs, prescription drugs. I never stated what he was on.
Okay. No further questions.
All right, thank you. Do you want to have someone testify, or you want to testify?
I think my client.
Good morning.
Just state your name, please. for the record.
Tion Everidge.
Thank you.
Thank you. On the date in question, I was sitting in the dining room. It was about 10 o'clock. An employee came to me, and she was very distraught and disheveled. She said, the liquor board was just here. They were telling me this and telling me that. I said, calm down, what did they tell you? She said, the speakers are playing outside. I said, I didn't know the speakers were on outside, and I cut them off. I have everything in the restaurant hooked up to my cell phone. So I walked her back up to the bar, and that's when Inspector Jordan came back in. And then she started to ask me for my information. I said, well, the liquor license is on the wall. What else do you need? And she said this, and I said, okay, ma'am, can I see some identification? She says, I don't need identification. This is my jacket. I said, ma'am, not to be disrespectful, but anybody can get those jackets. And then I asked her, do you have an ID or business card? She said, no, I do not. And then she said, I'll go get one. She comes back, and she brings the chief inspector with her, and he's telling me, I can't talk, I can't do this, I can't do that. I need to just be quiet and where my licenses and everything at. So I pointed, everything is hanging on the wall. Is there anything else you need? It was a verbal conversation. I do apologize for being upset and excited at the moment. I did not attend or promote violence or any type of physical aggressive nature. I was upset because I was trying to protect one of my employees who was actually really distraught about just the interaction that she had with Ms. Jordan.
Okay. Commissioners have any questions?
Yes, to Agent Jordan and to the chief, did you feel threatened at that time?
Excuse me. Not knowing Mr. Tian or his baseline, I did. I perceived it as aggressive, and once he, I felt like my personal space was being violated. I just needed to step away. I did. Being there, I did feel. Right.
To the chief, do you, I mean, his behavior now compared to the behavior at the time, is it the same?
Well, yeah, his behavior when I got there was probably, I think when he saw me, his level probably rose. To be honest, I was more concerned for the employees than I was for myself. But yeah, I mean, he was very aggressive, very aggressive.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Did he ever make made the records available to you?
Well, in fairness to him, I instructed the inspectors at that point to leave. Okay. After he told her that, after he actually told me I have no right to be on the premises. And he had refused to give it to Inspector Jordan. I wanted to diffuse the situation. I thought that the records at that point were the least of our concern, and we did leave on our own.
Inspector Jordan, when you made your request for the records, do you think that time was allowed for him to present the records to you before you left?
I think it became so chaotic that at that time, with his employees becoming involved, I think his employees were also concerned. One of them said he was in no condition to deal with us. So at some point, the doing the inspection, filling out my inspection sheet, just became secondary. It was more about the instant situation and just getting out of there.
I'm curious. Do you expect any operator, owner, whomever, when they come to work in the liquor establishment, to be ready to perform all duties and requests that person in that position should have? Do you think they should be able to answer or provide to you anything you ask for within the law?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Worthy, do you want to add anything before we rule?
Yes, I just want to make it clear that this was a very sad situation. Mr. Everidge has been under a lot of financial stress because of the death of his partner. He has been under a lot of stress as it relates to security. We have a new security system in now. We are retraining our staff. The individual that the inspector talked to was not properly trained. As soon as she came in, she should have went to Mr. Everidge and said, I can't speak to you. I can't make any promises. Let me get the manager. So we have retrained all of our staff. Mr. Everidge, I had to talk to him about how we deal with the liquor board because this wasn't his main responsibility. He's the chef. He cooks. That's why he wasn't out in the front. And now that he has this primary role of managing not only the food and preparations, but the business side, he made some mistakes. He was very upset. He's still stressed out as it relates to the death of his partner, and these individuals didn't know that. So any heightened sense that he had was due to that. He was not under the influence of anything. He does take medication. He's under therapy, as anyone would be under those circumstances. He apologizes. He has the records that are available. He has an office in the back. He could have easily gotten those things. If we would have calmed this thing down, we would have been able to provide the information. I think they admittedly, said that she had to go back to the car. So after he asked for her documentation, that was the time to provide the information. But when she came back with another individual. It got more heated. So I don't think there was an opportunity for him to ever provide the documentation that was requested. All right? I think they made a good decision in leaving. I think Mr. Everidge made a good decision in training his staff, apologizing today, and now that they know the situation, they know these individuals, this will never happen again. So that's why we're asking for this to be looked at as an aberration and not something that will ever happen again. It's our position.
Yes, I just want to leave with the statement that you have to remember that a liquor license is a privilege.
It is.
All right, thank you. Thanks, everybody. On the basis of the materials contained in the charging documents, the testimony received, I find a violation of Rule 3.02, cooperation on December 18, 2022, a violation of Rule 3.03, small a, records on December 18, 2022, violation of Rule 3.02, cooperation with the Chief Inspector at the same date. I'd be honest with you, when I first read this and considered this, I thought that it required the revocation of the license. We are not going to tolerate any interference with our inspectors at any time under any circumstances. There may be some mitigating circumstances here, so my ruling would be a 3-day suspension effective immediately. Commissioners?
Yes, Mr. Chair, based on the testimony and materials provided today, I also agree with the Chair's findings of violation 3.02, cooperation with Inspector Jordan on December 16, 2022. Also the violation of Rule 3.03A, records on December the 16th, 2022. And violation of Rule 3.02, cooperation with the Chief Inspector on December 16, 2022, and also with the suspension of 3 days.
Mr. Commissioner Reisinger, when do you want the 3-day suspension to become effective?
I'm sorry?
Did you want it to be immediate, as the chair said, the suspension?
Yes, 3 days.
Effective,
Yeah.
effective immediately?
Yeah, effective today, yeah. Thank you.
Based on the charging document, testimony given today, I also find for a violation of Rule 3.02, cooperation on December the 16th, 2022. I also find for a violation of Rule 3.03A, little a, records not being, availability of inspection on December the 16th, 2022. I also find for a violation of Rule 3.02, cooperation on December the 16th, 2022. For these violations, I recommend a 3-day suspension, which should start immediately.
Ms. Russell?
Next, call the exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, violation report, Inspector Jordan. 2, service request summary dated 12/18/22.
Thank you. Let's hope this is the end. We don't have to have this again. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That concludes this matter before the board. The Chief Inspector will instruct some inspector to go and impose the suspension ordered by the board effective immediately and return the license to the establishment at the conclusion of the time ordered by the board. Shall we move forward on the next matter? The final matter on the violations document, item number 8, New Club Thunderbird Incorporated, trading as Club Thunderbird. Premises are located at 2201 East Chase Street, holders of a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license, and are charged with several violations of state law and the board's rules on several different dates. The first charge, a violation of Alcoholic Beverages Article 12-2004C4 on November 5th, 2022. A violation of Rule 4.05, prohibitive hours, on November 5th, 2022. A violation of Alcoholic Beverages Article 12-2004C4 on November the 18th, 2022. A violation of Rule 4.05, prohibited hours, on November the 18th, 2022. A violation of Rule 3.03C, records of employees, on November the 18th, 2022. A violation of Rule 3.02, cooperation, on November the 18th, 2022. Violation of the Alcoholic Beverages Article 12-2004C4 on December the 9th, 2022. A violation of Rule 4.05, prohibited hours, on December the 9th, 2022. And a violation of Rule 3.02, cooperation, on December the 9th, 2022.
Morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Peter Previs on behalf of the licensees. The licensee, Ronnie Player. Before we begin, if I may explain some additional information to the board. This matter was postponed from a couple of weeks ago, and it's set back in for today. This is James Player. He is the brother of Ronnie Player. Ronnie Player is the actual licensee on the license. James Player has operated this establishment for many, many, many years. And
Before you go any further, can I get everybody to raise their hands so we get testimony?
Okay, anyone who's going to testify, do you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of this perjury that the testimony you're about to give, the statements made and responses given will be the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
Go ahead, Mr. Previs. I just want you.
So I've represented James Player for probably 25 years, and he's run the Thunderbird all of that time. Ronnie is his brother. I know his brother. He's on the license. To the far right of me is Ms. Rednaya Williams, who is the current manager and prospective purchaser of the business. And you would see from the records that other than a minor violation, sale to minor violation in 2008, this has been a quiet little neighborhood bar for many, many, many years. When we were last here, and I had subsequent phone conversations with Mr. Chris Amalis, indicating that Ronnie Player, the actual licensee, needs to be at this hearing because we need to know that the licensee is aware of the hearing and that he's in full operational control. I just got off the phone with Ronnie Player, who I've known for many years. He explained to me he's in town. He lives on Preston Street, right near the establishment, and it was represented to him that the transfer had been consummated. Now, the transfer has not been consummated. I have an appointment with Ms. Williams for tomorrow to start paperwork, but I was never contacted, or to my knowledge, another lawyer was never contacted about finishing paperwork. Other matters financial matters were taken care of, but an actual transfer application has not been set in.
And that's going to take some time, right?
It's going to take if we start now, we're past the February ad, so we would be mid-April into a hearing. I'm not sure how the board wants to proceed, but I wanted to be 100% upfront and honest with the board and staff as to where we are right now, but I'm certainly prepared to expedite that transfer application to whatever way I can. I've been extremely swamped with other matters lately, but we set out time for tomorrow to get everything going.
What do you want to do about the violation?
It kind of depends. I'm sure that the board, or Mr. Chris Malice at least, is going to ask that the place remain closed until, I don't know, either we get an application in or that we have a hearing and it's approved or whatnot. So I'm trying to be practical. I understand the situation. So if there's something that the board would want to consider about that, I could admit the violations, and we are going to actively pursue the challenging that 122004 along with the other licensees by way of a court action. But this has just kind of crept up on me, and I was retained at the last minute right prior prior to
What's the
last hearing.
practical solution between now and when we get a new licensee?
If the board would consider that the place remain closed until I get the application in, as opposed to for 2.5 months, I think that would be a reasonable and fair.
And how soon is that likely to occur?
Monday, Tuesday.
And I guess I want to hear from the chief. Is there some way to supervise it in the interim, if they reopen until it's in new hands?
We can continue making our nightly, checks to make sure that they're closing at 10 o'clock. Just for the record, I just have to say, sir, that the board has requested the licensee's presence multiple times, and they have failed.
Yeah, it's obvious that Mr. Ronnie Player is not interested in us. You may know him well, but we've asked him to be here, and he just doesn't come.
We just want to meet him.
I can arrange that.
Well,
I could go up there
rather
with
than go through an extended hearing with these, if you're willing to admit to a suspension until such time as an application is filed, and if the chief is okay with monitoring the place, you don't have a terrible record until this.
No, and
this is a mess.
And it's more of it was ignorance of the 10 o'clock closing law, which personally I think is a horrible, horrible law.
Well,
But
we don't
have
get
to
to decide
live with
that.
the law until the courts say otherwise or the legislature changes it. But it's also a function of certain. Now, the daytime employee, she's been there for 20-some years. So, and it's mostly local old timers that go to this establishment. So she's under full operational control. It's certain people that didn't understand and weren't advised yet to read the rules of how things work and how you interact with.
Yeah,
the
there's
liquor board.
somebody who's giving very bad advice to Ms. Cooley,
And
you need to get him out of the way.
yeah,
And I
now
can say
I'm
before this 10 o'clock law and before this manager, we haven't had any issues at this establishment.
Okay.
And Mr. Player is still around the corner, and he's there.
All right. Well, I'm willing to hold the violations in abeyance and close the place until you get your application filed, put it under monitoring, and subject to bringing these back if anything reoccurs.
Thank you, sir.
If the other commissioners would agree.
Right.
I concur.
I concur.
We do that, Mr. Blendy?
You would continue the charges and
Yes.
abate, yes, the
And
board has
with the
that.
expectation that they will be dismissed ultimately if everything goes successfully.
Right.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, you do have that authority.
Mr. Chair, only thing I'm concerned about is the number of prohibited hours in regards to the violation. So again, I hope you understand that having a liquor license is a privilege. There seems to be too many prohibited hour violations on the sheet.
Mr. Player.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
All right, well, let's do that then. We're going to hold the violations in abeyance for a period of time with the expectation they'll be dismissed if everything goes smoothly. If not, we'll bring them back in addition to any new violations, and Mr. Ronnie Player will have to answer to those before we're ever going to transfer this license to Ms. Williams or anybody else.
Right.
Okay.
Uh,
It'll be closed in the interim until you get that application filed. Thank you.
This matter has been continued till a future hearing date of the board per all the terms as stated by the chair of the board.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate your cooperation. Mr. Blendy, is that our docket?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, that concludes all matters on the February the 9th, 2023 docket of the board.
Well, with Larry's permission, let's read our adjournment.
Permission having duly been granted, the Board of Liquor License Commissioners for Baltimore City shall stand in recess until Thursday, February the 23rd, 2023 at 10:30 a.m. here in Room 215, City Hall, 100 North Holiday Street, Baltimore, Maryland, 21202.
Thank you. As always, thank you to the commissioners and the staff of the Liquor Board for doing a great job, and we'll see you when we come back.